Nathan Cruz with Carlson Software, and in this video we're going to take a look at the available point and polyline and survey data import options that we have available in Carlson Precision 3D Topo 2016. So, of course, we can load a land XML file which can contain surfaces, alignments, parcels, cocoa points. It can also contain survey data. We can load a surface, which is a Carlson 10, a surface from a land XML file, surface from a grid file, a surface from a DXF file. We can also create a basic surface. And in this dialog, you basically just give us the corners and how big you want the surface to be, and then what the name should be for the surface, which is not reasonably important. And you can create a basic surface that allows you to do things like create points, insert objects, draw polylines. So for example, I can just use this basic surface for sketching. And if I want to go beyond sketching, we can do a little pad template surface here. I'll just use the roller scroll wheel to raise that elevation up. I can also type the exact elevation that I want for the pad. You can also change the cut and the fill slopes. In this case, we're entirely in fill, so if we want to steepen that up or make it a little bit more drawn out, we can do that. So we can notice that the fill cut has no, or the cut slope has no effect in fill, and vice versa. You can change the mouse wheel increment value to whatever you want. So with each click of the mouse wheel, you can make it finer or more coarse by modifying that value. Once you are done, just click the left mouse button, and that will end the command. Once this pad template is created, you can do a few things with it. You can edit the pad template, and what that allows us to do is change the cut and fill slope. So in this case, we'll change the slope back to 45, and notice it update. We can reset the pad. That'll put it back down on the ground. We could recreate that pad. We can also set the pad slope. So if we want to change the slope from one corner of the pad to the other, because by definition these pad templates are completely planar. So if we want to give it a little bit of a slope in this direction, we can set the pad slope. I'm going to pick this node, which we'll try to pick one of these edges here to here. We can reset the pad slope. So again, set the pad slope. We've got it at a 2% grade, so I'll pick here to here to give it the direction of the slope, and now we have a 2%. We could make that, I'm going to reset that again. We could make that a little bit more pronounced and make that a 6% slope. Once you do get your pad template the way that you like, you can press the right mouse button to end the command or the enter key. And once you're satisfied with your pad template, then one thing that you can do is select the pad template, and you can merge that surface with the outermost surface. And what that does is now we've created and merged one surface at this point. And pad templates, you can continue to create more pad templates, or even do a cut scenario. So I'm going to put in cut scenarios are a little bit tricky, and the reason for that is because it goes under the surface. So the recommendation there is to turn the surface transparent. We'll make it about 50%, which is 0.5. Values are entered in as ratios. Now we can clearly see, we can still see the outline of our pad. We can see our pad template polyline, and I'm going to create the pad template command again, and I'm just going to roll that down using the mouse wheel. And I'm going to select that and enter. So now what we've done is we've effectively just carved out a pond on top of the pad template that we created, but it's still not part of the overall surface yet. And if I try to select this guy, basically it keeps trying to pick this top surface, because even though it's transparent, turn that off so it's a little bit more clear. So I'm really sort of unable to pick this surface in the scene, but I can pick that pad template in the Scene Explorer, right click, and we'll do a merge surface, and we'll pick the outer surface, and there you go. So this is creating a basic surface, and also working with our simple pad templates commands, how to edit them, how to merge the surfaces, how to combine them into more interesting. We can also cut channels and do things like that in this case as well. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. And we're going to go to our import CRD file. So for Carlson survey users, our CRD files are just our coordinate files from our servce. And what I'm going to do is simply import all of these points. We get a little preview here. Again, if you want to get any help as far as what the dialogues mean, just click on the help button, or in the middle of any command you can press the F1 key and it'll pop up the help message. So I'm just going to go ahead and import these points, and we get an awful lot of these guys. One thing that we do on any import of point data, whether it comes from a land XML file or coordinate files, is we group like points in containers that have the same descriptions. So if I turn these descriptions on, you'll see we have wall base, wall points, ground shots, river shots here. And one thing that we allow you to do is basically at any container level, you can turn on or off. Where's our you could turn on or off these properties based on your current selection set. And then you can always override those based on in an individual selection. So here we can turn pretty much everything on. For this particular guy, if you go up to the containing parent and modify it, then basically it's going to remember those settings. And the higher that you go up, the more overall control that you have for everything in underneath of that tree structure. So once you do have point data that's in your scene, the other thing that you can also do is you can import polyline files. And this one we have a river walk, we have some contours. And I'm not going to create a surface from them just yet, just to show you that these contours come in In this case, they match up pretty well with the survey data that was actually collected out in the field with Carlson Serve CE. But what I'm going to do is we do need a surface, and obviously we've got this interesting what appears to be this concrete pillar, and so I'm going to let's see. I'm going to go up to here. Let's hide those guys. So here's all of our polylines, and you can rename any node in the P3D scene. So I'm going to call these riverbank contours. But what I am going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a surface from those. Now, when I create a surface from polylines or points, you can multiple select these polylines. So I'll demonstrate that first. So what I'll do is I'll just create a few of these polylines here. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to create surface. Again, the name of the surface doesn't really matter. We don't depend on external files quite as much. And so there you have your surface from that selection set of contours. Additional interesting things you can do is you can select either points or polylines using the control key, multiple select. You can right click on that selection set and you can add them to the surface. So here we click on add surface and we simply pick on the surface we want to add to, and you can see that we're adding and extending our surface there. So other things that we can do are to create a surface from these polylines, which are kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do is find this top polyline in the Scene Explorer, and it'll automatically highlight. So this is it's 54. Hold the Shift key down, and I'm just going to scroll up until I get all of them. You can see it actually picked a few others that I don't want, but that's okay. I'll show you how to remove that. So still holding the Control key down, simply click on the other objects that you want to remove from the selection set again. So if I re-click on them, it'll add it to the selection set. If I click on it again, it will remove it. Now at this point, I can create a surface from this selection set, and I'm just going to call it pillar. I'm going to go ahead and load it. And now what you see, we have a nice, pretty concrete pillar, and we can go a little bit further than that, and we can actually put a concrete texture on there. It's not, I didn't hit the target, so let me do that again. There we go. Now we have a nice concrete pillar, and at some point, if you don't want to see the riverbank contours anymore, you could simply go into the Property Explorer, go to Display, and turn the visibility off. Additional things that you can do with imported point data is you can also draw polylines between these points that are floating here in space. And so an interesting thing to do here would be to tooltip over this. This is obviously the corner, looks like the corner of a wall. So we have some more precise data from the survey data. So what I'm going to do is look at the description. It says southwest. So what I'm going to do is find southwest. I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to create a surface from just those points. And again, the name doesn't really matter too much because we're going to be merging all these into one. And so I just added those points to a new surface. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that I highlight that new surface. I'm going to rename this to Southwest. This guy, I'm going to get rid of that old. Nope, that was the wrong one to get rid of. This one we're going to call That was pillar. Those were our contours. These were our points. This is our river surface. So we want our river surface to be the primary one. So what I'm going to do is select a pillar, and I'm going to do a merge surface. And also I'm going to select SW, and if you double click on any object or group of objects, it'll zoom to the extents of that. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to do another merge surface. And so you can see that modified this riverbank surface considerably.